We are discussing from Bhagavad Gita, and this is Introduction 6. Although lecture will be called 7th, but the PDF is 6th. And we have been discussing on the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita, which is ishwara, that means Supreme Lord, the Jiva, which means living entities, Prakriti means the material nature, time, which is time, Kala, and also karma, the fruitive activities by which the living entities get different kinds of bodies. Now, before we go forward, you must understand that this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, how it is different from other knowledges or knowledge, other kinds of knowledge. You see, in this world, craftsmanship is confused with knowledge or expertise. When a person can become a very nice engineer or doctor or anybody else in this world, basically it's craftsmanship. It is not knowledge, at least not as per Bhagavad Gita. So, knowledge really means understanding Ishwar, understanding ourselves, the jivas, understanding the material nature, understanding time, and also understanding Kala. Actions. Basically, this understanding is needed. Why? Because if we do same kinds of activities which earlier having done have given us this miserable body, then it is ignorance. Are you following this? Suppose somebody has caught cold, and if because of eating ice cream, let's say, and if he continues to eat ice cream, is it knowledge or ignorance? So answer is very clear. It's ignorance. He is ignorant that by eating ice cream he will not get cured, rather he will become more and more diseased. And this kind of knowledge is available in Bhagavad Gita, by which we know how we can disentangle ourselves from this karmic account and go back to Krishna. It's a very amazing knowledge. So let's go forward. The position of Ishwara, the Supreme Lord, is that of supreme consciousness. We must understand, what does this word consciousness means. Consciousness is the property of soul, and it is in Sanskrit called Jnana Shakti. Jnana means awareness. What is that awareness? I exist and I am different from others. So the root of this consciousness is from the Supreme Lord. But we are not conscious of everyone. The Lord is conscious of everyone. That is the difference. The jivas, or the living entities, being parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are also conscious. Just like you are conscious that this class is happening. It may appear very simple to you, but try to infuse that consciousness in the phone through which you are hearing. Possible? Is it possible? So answer is no. Now, why I'm saying this? Because all our life we keep on struggling to arrange for matter, to get more and more matter. But matter is absolutely different from our nature, because it is not conscious and it can never be conscious. I'm going very slow because this has to be understood. All our life we have this knowledge that I exist, and all around we see, I have a lamp here, I have so many things here, but none of these things have consciousness. I am a special living entity. I means me and you and all of us. That speciality is consciousness. Has everyone been able to digest this point that we are conscious? Yes, we are conscious. And you must understand there's a whole world of science which is studying this consciousness, and they are thinking that this consciousness is coming from matter. Absolutely wrong. And now why Prabhupada is telling, this is an interesting point, his interesting point, that Prabhupada is telling that Supreme Lord is also conscious. And that's what Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra says. Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishtana. These Nirvisheshvadis, the Mayavadis, they say the Lord is not there. But Lord is there. Just like Lord is very conscious that we are discussing Bhagavad Gita. And He is pleased with us. Basically, consciousness means a person. Got it? Okay. Both the living entity and material nature are explained as Prakriti, the energy of the Supreme Lord. But one of the two, the Jiva, is conscious, the other Prakriti is not conscious. That is the difference. I think this is very easy to understand. Therefore, the Jiva Prakriti is called superior because the Jiva has consciousness which is similar to the Lord's. The Lord is a supreme consciousness, however, and one should not claim that the Jiva, the living entity, is also supremely conscious. See, yes, try to understand this point. Just like the sun is full of heat and light, similarly, the sparks are also having heat and light. Do you agree? But can you call sparks as fire? Okay, you cannot, but you can you separate the existence of sparks from fire? No. Now, see it from a different perspective. Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely. He says that whenever there is fire, there will be sparks. Got it? So, because the Lord is conscious, so the living entities which are compared to the sparks are also conscious and will always remain conscious. As a matter of fact, dealing with matter or being absorbed in matter, we tend to forget or we are not conscious that we are conscious. Is it also understandable? We just identify with our body so much that we just think that I am this body. We are not even conscious that I am a person different from this body. Very simple experiment. Is it me hand or my hand? It's very simple. It is my hand. This is my nose. This is my spectacles. This is my ears. I am not my ear. I am not my whatever tongue or my specs or anything of this. Once a person becomes conscious that he is not the body, then he will question who he is, and that person is a proper candidate for understanding Bhagavad Gita. That's why Lord, you will see, He will explain to Arjuna that you must understand that you are not this body. Now, this knowledge is not sufficient, but this knowledge is prerequisite to have an desire to understand Bhagavad Gita. If I am only considering myself as body, then what is the point of reading Bhagavad Gita? Nothing. So, 2 points we understood. We are conscious, the Lord is conscious, but the Lord is supremely conscious of everyone. Just like, do you know the pains and pleasures of my body? The answer is very simple. No. Do I know the pains and pleasures of your body? No. Are you feeling hungry? I don't know. Am I feeling hungry? You don't know. But the Lord is knowing the pains and pleasures of every living entity. So the living entity can never become God, not even in the perfect stage. Is it clear? You will see this point will be repeated, I don't know how many times, but a number of times, because there are people who after coming to ISKCON still get confused by some other people who will speak this, that now you are not perfect, but when you become perfect, you will become supremely conscious. I'm not saying that it is being preached in ISKCON. I'm saying people who come to ISKCON from the outside world, they learn, but they don't properly learn, and then they go to some other sadhu outside of ISKCON and they hear that by becoming perfect, we become God. And without even questioning whether that sadhu is speaking from Shastra, they simply accept it naively, bholepan mein, naively, that we can become God. And that is the root cause of all offenses toward Lord Krishna. And that's why Prabhupada is hammering this point in our heart, in our consciousness, that we can never become God. Now a person says, Arey, what is the point of doing all this tapasya when I cannot become God? Try to understand. We don't want to become God, we want to become happy. So the devotees will be explained later. Through the process of devotional service to Lord Sri Krishna, they become so happy, they become more happy than Lord Krishna. That's why Lord Krishna also desires to become his devotee in the form of Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and relish the taste of bhakti which his devotees relish by serving him. Following? So becoming God will not give us that much happiness, or you cannot become also, as much as becoming devotees. So one has to be clear what is the goal of life. The living being cannot be supremely conscious at any stage of his perfection, and the theory that he can be so is a misleading theory. So this is understood that it's not that when you go to Vaikuntha or become situated in your constitutional position that you become God. No. Conscious he may be, but he is not perfectly or supremely conscious. This also I have explained that we are not conscious of everyone. There is a question, let me see what is it. Can conscious jivas also get the bodies of non-living things like furniture, etc.? It is explained elsewhere, just like, okay, is your body conscious? What is the answer? No. So just like this body is dead matter, and somehow by Lord's arrangement we are in this body, so it appears to be conscious. Sinking? Similarly, by Lord's arrangement, he can put a jiva in some stone also. Just like Ahilya. You know that Ahilya, by the curse of, what was it, Gautam Rishi, she was in the form of a stone. So what is the difficulty in accepting it? The distinction between I'm not saying that all the matter has souls. I'm not saying that, but in certain cases it is possible. The distinction between the jiva and the ishwara will be explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is kshetragya, conscious, as is the living being. But the living being is conscious of his particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all bodies. Please try to understand the meaning of this word kshetragya. Kshetra means field. Agricultural field, you understand? That is called kshetra. And gya means knower. So kshetragya would mean knower of the field. Okay? So what is my field? This is my field. My body is my field. So I am kshetragya, that means I am knower of the pains and pleasure of my body. You all also are kshetragya, and every living entity is a kshetragya because he is conscious, he is aware, his awareness is limited to his body. But Lord is kshetragya of all the kshetra. Kshetragyam api cha vidhi. Kshetragyam api cha vidhi. Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. You should know that I am also Kshetragya, or the knower of the field of this body among all the bodies, of all the bodies, like that. Because he lives in the heart of every living being, he is conscious of the psychic movements of the particular jivas. We should not forget this. Now, what does that mean? You see, what are our psychic movements? Willing, thinking, and feeling. This is a very deep statement. That's why we have highlighted this. You see, I have no awareness how you are feeling about this lecture. Whether you are feeling bored, whether you are feeling good, whether you are able to understand or not understand, I can only make a guess. Maybe you are understanding. Do you agree with this? You can say yes. Even if you say yes, I can only make a guess that okay, you have understood. But unless I ask you, okay, please explain what I have explained, how will I know that how much you have understood? See, in our classes, teachers gave us homework. and then they take exams. From that they can gauge, they can measure or try to measure how much the student has understood. Okay, because I am not living in your heart, but Krishna is living in the heart of the living entity and is very, very conscious what the living entity is desiring. Now, you may question why the Lord has to stay in the heart. What is the need? See, the purpose of this material world is that we can enjoy sense gratification. And if by chance, or not by chance, but by due course of trying to gratify our senses, when we become bored and if we begin to think, is there anything higher than this in this world? Then the Lord is very ready to give us an opportunity to come in contact with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or the knowledge of liberation. I'll repeat this point. We cannot gratify our senses without the sanction of the Lord. So the Lord is very, very conscious. What am I desiring at a particular point of time? What is my karma from my previous life? According to that, should that desire be fulfilled or not? So this is all based for sense gratification. And if at some point in some lives, after getting disgusted with sense gratification means enjoying my eyes, nose, whatever senses without any relationship with the Lord. So if I do that, then I will become unsatisfied. That the Lord knows. And some point of time when we become unsatisfied, we may begin to question, is there anything better than this? This is very deep points. Actually, only that person is a proper seeker of truth who is dissatisfied with what is untruth. Is it okay? So that's why the Lord is sitting in our hearts, so that maybe someday He will desire me, and then I'll open all channels for Him. And if a person is simply interested in sense gratification, Lord gives that facility as well. This is how it's there. Now, why we should not forget this? See, those who are not even knowing about the Lord, for them this word is not there. This line of Srila Prabhupada is there for devotees. Why I am saying this? Why Prabhupada is saying this? Sometimes we think, how will I become perfect in Krishna consciousness? Which is very good. But if we have a desire to become perfect in Krishna consciousness, we must remember that the Lord is there and He's noticing your desire to become perfect in Krishna consciousness. We should not forget this. He's right now in my heart, right now in your heart. He has allowed you now, today, to come in this class so that you can hear what Prabhupada is telling. Don't forget this. Now, why we have to see that? Why we have to hear this, that we should not forget this? Because this is our disease, that we forget the Lord is in our heart only. Everything what we do in our life is getting recorded. This meeting is getting recorded, even if you leave or not leave. Meeting means this whole life. Everything is getting recorded, and we will get next body as per our actions here. But hear very carefully. If we do something for the Lord will not forget, and we should not forget this. And that will have a very heavy weightage on what kind of life we're going to get in the next life. What kind of body basically we're going to get. We should not forget this. Why Prabhupada is saying we should not forget this? Because the whole world is forgetful of this only, that the Lord is there in the heart and He has His liking and disliking as well. If we render service to Him, He is extremely pleased. If we turn against Him, He is not happy. It's not that He becomes our enemy, but He is not happy. See, what is ISKCON? International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Do you see that in this line? Can you see this in the line? That we should become Krishna conscious. Krishna is in my heart. If I render service to Krishna as per his desire, he will be happy. And you know that when Krishna becomes happy, he blesses us with unlimited benedictions. So basically, ISKCON means, or ISKCON devotee means, who is Krishna conscious. Krishna is in my heart, and this activity will please him. And Krishna is in my heart, this activity won't please him, so I won't do that. Simple. It is also explained that the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is living in everyone's heart as Ishwara, as the controller, and that he is giving directions for the living entity to act as he desires. This is very nice. You have see, this is Prabhupada explaining the Bhagavad Gita shloka. Ishwara sarva bhutanam hirdeshu Arjuna tishtati. O Arjuna, Ishwara in the form of controller, he is sitting in our heart. I am not free to speak what I am speaking here. Whatever the Lord inspires after reading from this shloka, only that much I can speak. Can you catch this point? Very nice. We think that we are seeing what we want to see. But it's not like that. We think that we are hearing what we want to hear. It's not like that. We are seeing what the Lord is allowing us to see. We are hearing what the Lord is allowing us to hear. Is it clear? Because He is controller. Just like somebody is moving around with his car, so whichever path the government is allowing the car to move, only that path can be traversed by the car owner. We cannot move our car anywhere and everywhere. Do you all agree with this? You can't just have your car inside the Prime Minister's home, is it not? We are so much dependent on the Lord. So our thought process that we can do something independently of the desire of the Lord is absolute ignorance. So we are fully dependent on the Lord, and you should remember this, that the Lord is there as a controller. Oh my Lord, please inspire me, please help me, please guide me that this day, today, let me be engaged in your service. Simple. This is what we are chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Simple. Let me not forget you. You know better than me that how much am I forgetful. Please help me to not forget you. You understand the meaning of forgetfulness of Krishna? Forgetfulness of Krishna means forgetting that Krishna is the controller, Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the proprietor. Simple. Just like I am sitting in my rented room, so I cannot just start breaking things around here as per my desire, because this is not my room. I am not the proprietor of this room. Very deep points. Although my proprietor is a ISKCON devotee, is a very gentle and very nice Vaishnav, but just for the sake of formality, they wrote some agreement, and in the agreement said that the person who is staying on rent cannot change the construction of the room. Well, I did some construction outside with the permission of the owner, but I cannot just start breaking this room. I will be punished. Do you agree with it? We are all conscious of, wherever we stay on rent. So this body is not our body. I am not this body, neither this body is mine. I can't just do anything and everything with this body. I can only do things which are sanctioned by Lord. Now you say, no, I can also do things which are not sanctioned by the Lord. Then we will be punished. Okay. Anyhow, being in this body is a punishment. So why should we do something which will bring us more punishment? The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes a determination to act in a certain way, and then he is entangled in the actions and reactions of his own karma. After giving up one type of body, he enters another type of body as he take off and put on clothes. As the soul thus migrates, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities. These activities can be changed when the living being is in the mode of goodness, insanity, and understands what sort of activities he should adopt. This is a brilliant passage. I will explain this. It is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam by Markandeya Muni. The Lord is in front of him and he is glorifying the Lord. That Lord, when the living entity sitting in the heart desires to do something, what Prabhupada explains here is determination. I will do this. Just like you had a determination or called Sankalpa. Now I will hear Bhagavad Gita class. Okay? Okay. So now you want to hear Bhagavad Gita class. Fine. But we cannot, neither I can give class, neither you can hear class without Lord's sanction. So Lord sanctions. Okay, you want to hear Bhagavad Gita class? Fine. So then the Lord will activate our pranas in our body. And the prana is the energy by which all the functions of our body are controlled. I'm not talking about hands or legs only. Any sensory action is controlled by prana. So the Lord will actuate our, you can say, actuate is the word, actuate the pranas, and the prana will actuate the mind, and the mind will actuate the senses. Actuate means energize, so if you can understand this. And then any action can happen. Just like I wanted to explain like this. So this also I desired and this happened. This is so fast. After understanding, but the point does not stop here. Then Markandeya Muni says that even though the living entity is fully dependent for all his actions on the Lord, is still when we do something for the Lord feels obliged. Oh, this living entity has heard Bhagavad Gita. This is amazing. Everything is done by him. But just because we desired, he feels obliged. Oh, he's heard Bhagavad Gita. So what I'm trying to say here, what Prabhupada is telling here, this is the procedure I've explained. Now what Prabhupada is telling here is that this determination to act in a certain way is there in the living entity. Can you see that people around you have a certain determination to act in a certain way? Is it okay? Can you see that? Like everyone around you is not coming for Gita class. They don't want to hear Bhagavad Gita at all. So why they don't want to act? Because act in a devotional way, because they've acted differently in their previous lives. So then it sends an impression. Why you are here for Bhagavad Gita class? Because you have an impression of yesterday or day before yesterday. This Gita class is nice. I would like to hear. So if there was no impression, we will not behave in any specific way. Is it okay? Every time we act, there is an impression. I'm going slow so that you understand this point. Every time you act, there is a sanskar or impression. How to explain this? 1 second. I'll try to explain. So you see, this is a copy. This is very simple. And this is my pen. So every time I say, let's say I write H. Can you see the impression here? You can see the impression. Now if I write A, you can see the impression A. So every time I am moving my pen, Hare. So now you have Hare. Is it okay? This is called impression. So if you look at your whatever copy, then you say Hare. Is it okay? Every time we act with our senses, that creates an impression in our consciousness, and it is like a desire, and it's not a desire. Basically, it's an impression. And once we have that impression, then we have an innate capacity to desire. When that desire, joins with that sanskara, it becomes lust or a desire to enjoy. I'm able to follow. Suppose that like in this life, I have never drunk liquor. I mean, I'm not a strange or not a very great person, but many people never drink liquor. So because I have never had this sanskar, so never in my consciousness the desire comes to drink liquor. Is it okay? Many things. You might have not eaten any fruit ever in your life, then that desire never comes in your heart. Okay, I give a small question. Do you know what is kasud? How many of you know what is kasud? Anyone knows? No, not kasur. Kasur means mistake in Hindi. Kasud. So now kasud is a vegetable similar to bhindi and it grows somewhere in Jammu. I had a sanskar in 97. So you see, since none of you have this sanskar, you will never develop a desire to eat kasud. And when I am telling you, you must think about, oh, what is this kasud? It was very tasty. Something similar to bhindi. As a small kid, I ate that. So what I'm trying to say is every action has a reaction of sanskar in our consciousness and then we begin to act in the same way. ठीक है, ये बात समझाना है. Now the difficulty is if a person does not come to Krishna consciousness, he will act as per his previous impressions and those will bound him more and more in this material world. Clear? So that's why Prabhupada, and because of that, suppose a person acts in mode of ignorance, he will get a body of an animal. He acts in mode of passion, then he gets the body of a human being. And if he acts in the mode of goodness, then he gets the body of a demigod. Don't disturb the camera. Be conscious. It's not that important. Okay. So now you can see that those who are in ignorance cannot think. You know why? Because whatever is adharma, irreligion, that they will consider as religion. Can you see this also? Killing of animals and all that. In mode of passion, they cannot understand what is dharma and adharma. Can you see the difference? And their heart will be bound with trying with the desire to accumulate more and more money, wealth, women, like that. So only when a person comes to goodness, as Prabhupada explains here, then he comes to some sanity. Sanity means I am not happy. This is very interesting. We will discuss in evening class also in the Bhagavatam. People are trying to become happy, but they are not, and also they want to remove their unhappiness. But they are not getting happiness and the unhappiness is not decreasing, rather increasing by their actions. And the point is they cannot even stop doing those activities. So this is all ignorance. So when a person comes in mode of goodness or he has some mode of goodness, then he will inquire. At least when he will have some time to hear the message of Bhagavad Gita, I am not this body. Then how can I be happy by just satisfying the needs of the body? We are in this body, so body needs some nourishment, that's all right. But if I am not the body, then how can the activities of the body help me in becoming happy? Do you agree with it that there needs some goodness, some sense? These activities can be changed when the living being is in the mode of goodness. When he understands that he is not the body, at least theoretically, then he will change. Then he will begin to change. So all of you have that. That's why we are trying to learn what kind of activities we should adopt by which this action and reaction can be stopped. Just like after this, now you will be having prasadam, which is food offered to Krishna, not something which is not offered to Krishna, because that will bind me. So this kind of understanding needs mode of goodness. And once a person has that, then he will only act in a way which will make him more and more liberated. That we will discuss tomorrow. What is the meaning of sense gratification? See, senses means eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, and also hands. So when we don't use our senses to serve Krishna and we use our senses to enjoy separately from Krishna, that is called sense gratification. Just like right now you are using your eyes to see the text of Bhagavad Gita, you are seeing your eyes, you are using your ears to hear the message of Bhagavad Gita, then that is called service to Krishna. But if I hear or read or something and do anything which is not connected to Krishna, then that is called sense gratification, doing what will gratify or please my senses. Prabhuji, is it good to offer Jal Prasadam to animals and to plants? That's a very good question. Very good question. You see, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, wants to deliver every living entity. So, if any living entity gets prasadam even once in his life, he will get human form of life next life. And you should remember, those who are in grahastha life, they must not be narrow minded, because that's a natural tendency in grahastha ashram to become narrow minded. That's why the instruction of the Shastra is there that the Grahastha should also take care of the lizards, even snakes, like his children. It's amazing. And you see how your heart will expand. I'll tell you a story also. Give me 2 minutes. Any animal, if he gets prasadam, water or fruit or something, he will get a human form of life next life. And not only human form, but exalted human form of life. I give a story of Sripad Ramanujacharya. At one point of his life, his teacher, who was an impersonalist, but was a very qualified and austere Brahmana, his name was Yadav Prakash. So he was invited by the king to drive away the ghost from the body of his daughter. That means the princess. So then that ghost gave a slap to Yadav Prakash. He said, "You don't have the potency to drive me off. Last life you were a chameleon. And some Vaishnav offered bhoga to Lord, that means it became prasadam, and then he took that prasadam, that Vaishnav, and you ate the remnants of that prasadam. And because of that, doing only once, you got this human form of life, when you are such a powerful Brahmana. Just once you get. So prasadam should be given even to animals, they will be delivered. Just like now we are trying to start a service. We offer bananas to Krishna, Giriraj, and then we give to the monkeys of Vrindavan. Anyhow, they are going back to Godhead. We are trying to serve them. But this should be done by Grahasthas also. अरे चना तो दे ही सकते हैं. In bananas, you don't have to cook anything. Some extra chapatis, I'm making some chapatis, 4 chapatis, makes 3-4 more. Actually, a grahastha should go out and say, anyone hungry? 3 times he should say, and then he should eat. Even if he can't do that, at least whatever is left over, you give to the animals. At least that much should be there. Okay, what else is there? How to be conscious every time, specifically if you are around materialistic people. It's very good. If you are around materialistic people, you are conscious that they are materialistic. So you are Krishna conscious. Do you agree? If I was materialistic, I was not conscious that I am materialistic. I say these are my friends. So because you are Krishna conscious, so you are seeing them as materialistic. That's good. So you are Krishna conscious. Just be conscious that don't eat their food. You can give them prasadam, but don't eat their food. You can talk. If you have to talk, you talk externally, but don't talk intimately. Just like Asha Mataji, you go to bank, is it not? You do a job in bank. So you have to talk to people, that's okay. But you're not opening your heart to the people whom you are, clients, I don't know what they call. Those who are clients or customers, whatever they're called. You don't just, we talk externally. Kautilya Prabhu also, you also go for a job. So you talk to so many people around you, but we don't open our heart, because as soon as you open your heart, there will be exchange of qualities. Always remember this. So you can open your mouth, but not open your heart. I am talking my heart out to the devotees here. So there is exchange of qualities. So that's how it is there. And you can accept gift and use it for Krishna. You can give them gifts also. But be careful that their consciousness do not affect us. This is how we become careful. If I perform an action and there is an impression, but if I didn't enjoy the consequence of that action, I will not repeat it again. But you said we repeat our actions due to the impression. So how to understand this? But if I didn't enjoy the consequence of that action. Oh, you mean to say you had an impression and it was not good? That's like suppose you had some dish and it was not tasty and you won't do it again. That's okay. But at least the impression is there. That's why I told, impression is not desire. Impression along with my desire to enjoy that impression again is called lust. I must say that one time when I was young, My father gave me one spoon. What is that spoon size? This much spoon of liquor to cure my fever, but that does not mean that I have any desire to enjoy liquor or I was intoxicated by that. I was feeling disgusted. I like, he brought it near my nose. I smelled it so bad. Somehow he forced me to eat. And also, when we chant Hare Krishna, those impressions are destroyed. Destroyed. That's why many times people ask, if one name destroys all sins, why we repeat? Because impressions are there. Those impressions become destroyed to the effect that we forget where are those impressions. We just forget about this. So those, it's not that, yes, it's true. It's not always true that if we have an impression that we'll act accordingly. I agree with you, because the impression may be very bad, but the impression nonetheless is there. Just like I still remember that liquor was given in the form of one spoon or something, but only when I join my volition, you understand, my willingness with that impression, will it turn into lust to enjoy. Okay. Why Krishna is in the heart of bad people? Well, because they want to do bad things, because without Krishna's help they can't even do bad things. Is Shama Tulsi any different from Tulsi? This question is not related to this class. See, any extra questions which are not related to the class, you can ask me personally through Telegram. But please try to ask questions regarding the class itself. We'll stop here. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.